The Florida Gators beat the Vanderbilt Commodores rather handedly there, and we're going to talk about it here on Locked On Gators.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast. Happy Saturday. It's a victory. Saturday, I'm Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Whole Nine Sports, Giants Country, NFL 33, all that fun stuff. If you haven't yet signed up for Florida Victorious, do so. Use promo code LOCKED and you will save 20% of your first month. But the Florida Gators beat the Vanderbilt Commodores today. And I'll tell you, it was definitely a game that early on felt like we were going to be in for just one of those old school, I guess, like drag down, just fight, just get dirty and gritty the entire game. Felt like one of those performances, but luckily it wasn't. Florida started separating. I will say this. Scripted drive, first drive of the game, great. Florida scored, touchdown. I'm not going to complain. You got a little creative with the end around being how you scored your touchdown to Ricky Pearsall. That's a great start. Then you get the ball back. And you do something really stupid with the double pass. And I don't mean that a double pass is stupid. I mean, I think that's the wrong time to call it. I'm fine with a shot play or something like that right after you force a takeaway. Great. The double pass, like if you're going to call a shot play after a takeaway, because when you get that takeaway, you oftentimes do call a shot play because you're like, all right, we forced the ball. We got the ball. We forced a turnover. We're going to go for just step on the throat. Double pass isn't how you step on the throat. Double pass is how you flex, maybe get a little bit cute, but that's not exactly what happened. Khalil Jackson, of course, threw a duck, and that was then picked, and it was just a bad play, and that was where it really felt like, oh, this is just going to be one of those games. But Arlis Boardingham, breakout, like just absolute breakout performance by Arlis Boardingham. Like he's someone that we really kind of spent most of this season being like, oh, when is the Arlis game coming? Like when is Arlis going to get involved? Arlis Boardingham had 7 catches for 99 yards, 2 touchdowns. Eugene Wilson III had 8 catches for 64 yards and 1 touchdown. This was the true freshman making plays. You look at the Vanderbilt fumble. True freshman, TJ Searcy ripped that one out. True freshman made plays for the Florida Gators. I don't know how you feel about that, but I feel pretty good knowing that true freshmen were making it. Trayon Webb had a great game. Trayon Webb finished the game 4 carries for 70 yards, 3 catches for 6 yards. Wasn't super involved in the offense. Montrell Johnson got 18 carries, 135 yards. Montrell Johnson finding his way again in the ground game. Montrell today looked like Montrell from 2022. He was breaking tackles, which holy, hadn't seen him do that much. You saw Billy Napier get, I don't want to say, like he didn't get really ridiculously creative. He got a little bit more aggressive play calling. I know that I've mentioned this play quite a few times with the fake screen wheel that Florida's run every now and then, which you can run from a bunch of different setups. But basically, it's you run that fake wheel, and then someone runs up, and that's very bleakly how I drew that. You run that fake little in with the wheel, and then someone runs up the sideline, and they didn't connect on it. Florida didn't connect on it today. Graham Mertz overthrew Ricky Pearsall. He led him way too much, but it was a wide open receiver that got created from it. And if the main critique is Billy Napier's play calling and all that stuff, then guess what? Him scheming open, wide open receivers, even if the play doesn't work, he did his part. And I think that's a big thing that we have to give Billy Napier credit for. This was probably Billy Napier's best offensively coached game since he got here. Maybe you could put it up with the Utah and Tennessee games from 2022, but Utah was really just him going, oh, RPO is working, read options working. I'm going to keep doing that. It wasn't necessarily him creating plays. It was him going, I'm going to let this really good quarterback make plays. So you saw that screen. We talked about it last week. I asked Hayden Hansen about it earlier this week with not running enough counter. And we talked about it. I'll get the board. I know that someone complained about not being able to always see the play on the yellow paper. I do apologize. I did order a whiteboard so that I could draw these for you. But we had a conversation about it the other day with Hayden Hansen about why Florida isn't running more GH counter, which is what they ran against Tennessee and had a ton of success running against Tennessee. So for this instinct, I'm not drawing this specific play because I didn't pay attention to who was lined up where, but I do know that what we saw was this little setup right here. I know it takes a second. That little setup right there. And it's offensive line blocks down there, down there, down there. Guard pulls and blocks. Offensive tackle blocks. Running back, tight end pulls and blocks. Running back runs that little counter. And then they go there. So here, I know it might be a little difficult to see, so I apologize. And if you're listening at all, I apologize that you can't see this. But it's important for this subject of that center snaps the ball. Guard pulls. Half H pulls is the H tight end. And then your O-line blocks down there. That kind of stuff has been great every time Florida's called it this year. But for some reason, Billy Napier hasn't made it a consistent part of the run game. We've talked about this so much it makes me nauseous. We talked about, hey, your offensive line's not doing well with the wide zone and all that stuff, but they've been really good when you run that counter. And so it's great to see Billy Napier run the counter. That I'm not sure how many times they called it. I do remember one of them was Treon Webb, 1st and 10. Towards the end of the third quarter, they ran that play, and then he picked up like 11 yards, and then he had his huge 43-yard run. But that kind of play, it opens up a rushing lane almost every single time with these backs. Do it more. I don't get why that's not more involved in the game plan, but holy crap, it works. It's crazy how that happens. Billy Napier, this was one of the best coach games he's had. Just plain and simple. Let's just go. I don't care if it's Vanderbilt. This was the past, week or two? It's been nothing but negativity about this program, nothing but negativity about Billy Napier's play calling, and he showed up when he needed to. Defense had a few mistakes. I said this last year. I will say it again now. Like I said it last year, I said it prior to this year, I said it during this year. Jason Marshall Jr., I understand all the, first round pick hype, top three rounds back. He's not putting that on film. And I understand that a lot of NFL draft talk is, his athleticism. What can he be for us? What can he do for us? Jason Marshall Jr. has plenty of experience at this point. He's not putting top 100 pick on film. I understand, the finger in the face mask. I don't care that the receiver grabbed his face mask for a quarter of a second, because what I saw for the remainder of that play was Jason Marshall give up on the play because he wanted to ref to a flag. No, this is football, dude. I don't care. If you don't see a flag, that's fine. You can be mad about it. You complain about it after the play. You go and make the play, and then you complain to the ref. You don't spend that entire play complaining to the ref and watch the dude run 80 yards for a touchdown on your head. That film session, I understand Jason Marshall might say, hey, he grabbed my face mask. I was complaining about that. If this coaching staff is for real, they're going to rip him to shreds for that. because that's not smart football. And there were a few times where Florida had some boneheaded plays. Princely Umanmielen had one towards the end of the first half. He went for a strip sack instead of just bringing Ken Seals down, and it led to, I believe, a conversion there and gave him a first down or whatever it was. Honestly, it doesn't even matter, because the fact of the matter is Princely shouldn't have gone for the strip sack there, because in that situation, all you need to stop momentum completely for Vanderbilt is to get a sack. Kills momentum completely. And look, this was a great win. Like this was a good win. Florida covered the spread for. I realized before I said he never had before. It's the second time in Billy Napier's career that he covered the spread. First time as the favorite. First time was against. First time was against South Carolina last year. That was the first time Florida went into the game favored and covered the spread as favorites. So there was that one. But like again, this is a win. Like this is a win. We celebrate the win. Florida Gators now 4-2. It doesn't feel like it, but 4-2 and 2 wins away from bowl eligibility. That you can get those wins. It's gonna be tough. You can get those wins, but we'll talk about the chat as always. As always, second half of this is going to be talking about the chat. It's going to be a little bit shorter because it's a lighter one. It's immediately after the game end. But before we talk about the chat, before we get into that, this bonus episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business, and you want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Add your job and put the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Billy Napier, do that for an offensive coordinator. Great game. Does not change the fact that you still need to do that. With simple tools like screening questions, it makes it easier for you to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience who can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. And today's bonus episode of Locked On Gators is also brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Snap into the action. I'm telling you, today, so far, I'm not even going to do the read. I'm just going to tell you that new customers get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5. That's it. You bet $5, you get 200 bonus bets guaranteed, whether you win or lose. So far today, I got a 4-leg parlay. And so far today, 2 of the games have ended and cashed. It was the LSU Missouri over 63.5. And it was Louisiana covering 2.5 points against Texas State, or Louisiana winning by 3 or more. And that cashed. And right now, I'm looking at Colorado to hopefully win by 3 or win by 4 or more against Arizona State, which should be easy, right? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon, kick off the NFL season. And remember that FanDuel is an official partner of the NFL. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen after the game. First game. If it's your first listen of the day, awesome. Thank you. If it's your first listen right after the game, thank you. If it's not your first listen, thank you. But thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen. Like I said, regardless, please remember to like, subscribe, comment, join the subtext down below, join the Locked On Gators Discord. The link's in the description. All of that fun stuff. But now we'll talk about the chat now. I see Harrison in here, as always. Appreciate you a ton, Harrison. Webb's faster than I thought, more comfortable with the running back room. Yeah, Miles, I will also say Trayon Webb, way more burst than, or not way more, but more bursts than I anticipated from him. Like that 43-yard run was a big one. He looked, I thought, relatively comfortable coming out of the backfield as a pass catcher. I know he had that swing that he didn't catch. But I don't fault him a ton for that one. I think that's just looking before you really reel it in. But I don't fault him a ton. Trayon Webb looked good. I'm not going to say play him over Trevor Etienne or Montrell Johnson, especially if Montrell is going to run the way that he ran today. But it was a good performance by Trayon Webb, and we'll give him credit for that. Josh Gardner, what's up, Josh? Appreciate you. Especially if you're in Spain right now. I especially appreciate you checking in here. Love the beatdown because a win versus Vandy means the world is right. Go Gators. And it's about time we had the Arlis game. It's true. Like thankfully, we had the Arlis game there. Like I said, I feel like for so long, even last year, we were like, oh, Arlis is going to be a big part of the game plan here. And then he just wasn't. I know he was injured, and then he came back and didn't do anything. And the start of this year, he wasn't on the field at the beginning. Look, I will say this. The Florida Gators have a very good young tight end duo. You have your pass catcher that's your glorified receiver in Arlis Boardingham, and you have your blocker that's your glorified sixth offensive lineman in Hayden Hansen. Like two redshirt freshmen that are making plays for your team. Like Hayden did a great job blocking. Arlis was freaking out of his mind as a pass catcher. That what was it, 3rd and 15? He caught it 7 yards away from the first down and converted by breaking tackles. I understand they're not, elite tight ends at the college level, but for redshirt freshmen, they're making the plays they need to make, and they're doing their jobs. For all of the people that have screwed up on this team, the redshirt freshmen and the true freshmen are the ones doing their jobs. It's a win. I'll take that. Matt said, "What was ETN's injury?" All we know is upper body, and I was told that he's been banged up since the Tennessee game. So all we know is upper body, and it's been lingering. And I guess last week against Kentucky, just pushed him over a little bit. Based on when I found out that he wasn't playing, which was shortly after the depth chart came out, I'm going to assume he's not playing next week, is going to take the bye week to rest, and will play against Georgia. He could play against South Carolina, maybe, but I don't anticipate that. We'll see. He's probably going to be listed as questionable, and they'll probably see how he's doing later in the week. A good win, time to break the road game losing streak next week in Columbia. Hopefully. I will be honest, I don't think this South Carolina team is very good, but if we're being realistic, this Florida Gators team isn't awesome either right now. So there's that. Celebrate the Vandy win. 6 losses in a row. Here we come. Hope not. Tim Jackson, Jason Marshall Jr. needs to get his head out of his. Yeah, I've said this again. I said this last year. I said this leading into the year. And I've said this during the season. Jason Marshall Jr. is never going to be as good as the Florida Gators fans want him to be. And right now, I understand there were unrealistic expectations put upon him by the Florida Gators fans. However, the product that he's putting on film right now is just bad in general. It's not, oh, he's not living up to the hype. It's, oh my God, he's worse than he was last year. He's regressed with certain points. And I don't just mean the complaining about the face mask and then watching the dude score a touchdown. I don't mean just that. I mean the Tennessee game getting smoked for a touchdown. I mean Kentucky game. There was a play, I forgot what the play was specifically, but there was another play. I was like, what is going on, dude? And then Vanderbilt, he had that big play. Oh, the Kentucky game was it was him giving up the first down and then celebrating an incompletion and then dropping the pick six. And it was like, what are you even doing at this point? Down 23-0. He's like showboating, and that drove me crazy. Because I don't care about if you celebrate at any point, but if you're getting blown out and all you do is force an incompletion, score a touchdown, get the pick, something like that. So those drove me crazy. Then you look at this week against Vanderbilt. There was that first drive, which even if you want to excuse, oh, he was complaining about the face mask, he didn't hustle afterwards to catch the receiver. I don't know if he would have, but he didn't very much try to until the dude was too far away. Then you look at RJ Moten and Jason Marshall Jr. just staring into the backfield. They run crossers right behind them both, and it's a big gain. There are too many plays where it's just like, dude, what are you doing? You're supposed to be going into the season. There was first round pick hype around Jason Marshall Jr. I don't agree with it, but there was first round pick hype. I have no idea what is going on, but it's ugly there. And also I will say this, drop my pen, so don't expect any more plays to be drawn up today. But there was I think that people need to put some more respect on Jalen Kimber. I know that against Kentucky, he did not play well, especially when you look at that first drive. He just ran into the pile with his head down, and it was like, what are you doing? But this season, Jalen Kimber in coverage has been your best cornerback for the Florida Gators. There's been nobody better than him in coverage. And I don't even care what a PFF grade says or anything. I'm using my eyes, and I will trust my eyes. On film, Jalen Kimber's the best corner on this team. Okay. And if your biggest knock on him is the run support, he's still the best corner on this team. Okay. Simple as that. Josh is in Spain, really hopeful for this team this year. Won't be pretty. It definitely won't be. But yes, the experience is going to pay dividends next year and even the year after that, because true freshman again this year. Like Eugene Wilson's good now. He's going to have a year of experience going into next season and 2 years going into his true junior season when he's then draft eligible. And next year's schedule is running the freaking gauntlet. It's the toughest schedule I've ever seen in college football. So it's going to be really rough because even the out-of-conference teams that are like, oh, maybe they're going to be worse, they all look like they're clicking right now. So, yeah, it's going to be a toughie there. But thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day, every day, or your first listen post-game. I very much appreciate that. Like I've said before, it'll never get old to me that you guys allow me the platform to do this. Join the Locked On Gators Discord. The link's in the description below. Subtext, if you want, is 2 weeks free and then $5 per month to have one-on-one conversations with me. I'm going to start doing more scheme and film stuff that I wish I'd been able to do. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Whole Nine Sports, Giants Country, NFL 33, and I will see you all Monday.